This is the final part of our computation on the net GST payable. So this is part 3 where we are calculating total GST payable by the registered dealer. So we have already computed total output tax liability and total input tax credit available. So let's move towards our computation. Welcome friends to the circle of knowledge called Avi's Academy. You are at the right place if you are learning commerce, management and economics at undergraduation and post-graduation level, and if you are one of those who have thirst for knowledge. So let's start our final part of the computation where we are computing net GST payable. We know net GST payable is total output tax liability minus input tax credit. So we need output tax liability information. So total output tax liability, total output tax liability. So we have calculated that before. Let's see what's the amount. Output tax liability, CGST 1,80,000, SGST 1,80,000 and IGST 9,34,000. So that amount we need to write. So I'll write the amount 1,80,000 CGST and then same amount 1,80,000 as SGST and 9,34,000 as IGST. So next, while discussing the input tax credit, I said there is one transaction on that Jagdish has to pay tax to the government under reverse charge basis. So reverse charge is applicable when goods are purchased from unregistered dealer, right? So see this transaction, material purchased from unregistered dealer. Jagdish has purchased material from unregistered dealer. That means on this transaction on 3 lakh rupees he has to pay 5% as GST to the government under reverse charge, right? So we have to add that to tax liability. But yes, we have to add, but remember that so this amount cannot be set off from input tax credit available. That means so whenever reverse charge transaction is given in the question, first you calculate total output tax liability. From that you deduct input tax credit available. After that, only after that you need to add tax liability under reverse charge or reverse charge tax liability. So therefore, after writing total output tax liability, what I'll be doing is I'll be deducting input tax credit. Okay. So and after that I'll be adding reverse charge tax liability. So input tax credit. Remember again, do not add reverse charge tax liability immediately before deducting input tax credit. Write total output tax liability, then write input tax credit. After that you have to add reverse charge tax liability. Careful. Okay, so let's see input tax credit available. So in case of input tax credit available, you know the rule, right? So first we have to set off from same head. So that I have to do. We have the preference, even if you consider the preference also. If you have IGST tax liability, first it is IGST, then it is CGST and then it is SGST. If you have CGST tax liability, first you have to use CGST credit. If you have SGST tax liability, first you have to use SGST credit, right? So that means we have to set off from same head, set off from same head, or you can write intra head set off. That is also fine. Set off from same head. So let's see same head input tax credit is how much. So we have calculated the amount. Amount is CGST credit is 1,19,000, SGST credit is 1,19,000 and IGST credit is 9,50,500. So I'll write that amount, same amount. So liability is more here, so I can fully utilize the credit 1,19,000, 1,19,000. So SGST credit we are fully utilizing it, right? See, 1,19,000, 1,19,000 we have fully utilized. When it comes to IGST, amount available in as tax credit is 9,50,500, but the tax liability is 9,34,000. So we can use up to 9,34,000, not more than that, right? Because that's our tax liability. So still difference is available, right? How much? 9,50,500 minus 9,34,000, that will be equal to around 16,500. That we can use to set off other liability. Okay, so this is same head set off. So let us do that. Since we are setting it off, we are writing in bracket because we are deducting it, right? Yeah, let us do that. 1,80,000 minus 1,19,000. Yeah, 1,80,000 minus 1,19,000, which is equal to 61,000, which is equal to 61,000. Okay, then we have another transaction, that's with respect to IGST. SGST is also same 61,000. Then with respect to IGST, so we are using full credit and full tax liability is set off, so therefore no tax liability. Still we have 16,500 with respect to IGST, so that we can use it to set off. Next what we'll be doing is set off of what we are setting off, set off of, okay, or you can write set off from, yeah, we'll write set off of. Now 16,500 is available, which has to be utilized first. I mean, which tax liability we can setting it off. So CGST and SGST is there, so we have to use CGST first. Okay, so set off of, so we are setting off CGST from what credit is available. We have IGST credit, right? So IGST credit, how much? It is 9,50,500 minus 9,34,000, that will be equal to around 16,500. So this 16,500, which is IGST credit, that we are setting it off first from CGST, then from SGST. Okay, so CGST, how much? 16,500. So liability is more, so we can use full credit IGST utilization. Nothing is available to set off SGST, so it will remain as it is. So therefore we'll find the tax liability GST payable, how much? 61,000 minus 16,500, which is equal to 44,500. CGST tax liability will be 44,500. SGST is again 61,000. IGST is fully paid via input tax credit. I said on reverse charge there is a tax liability. Goods purchased from unregistered dealer, so reverse charge tax liability has to be paid. So reverse charge tax liability we have to calculate, right? So let us do that. What's the amount of the transaction? Transaction amount is 3 lakh, in rate of GST is 5%. So 3 lakh, 5% they said rate of GST. So here if you see, no information with respect to unregistered dealers place is given, so we cannot decide whether it is interstate or intrastate, right? So whenever information is missing, we assume the transaction is occurring within state, so therefore CGST and SGST can be charged. 5% is total tax liability, so we are charging 2.5% each as CGST and SGST. So 3 lakh into 2.5%, that will be equal to around, you can use your calculator, 3 lakh into 2, which will be 6,000, 0.5, which is 1,500, right? So it will be 7,500. Use your calculator, I'll directly calculate 7,500. Reverse charge tax liability, CGST 7,500, SGST is 7,500. So therefore net GST payable is, here we are adding this, so 44,500 plus 7,500, which is equal to how much? It will be equal to 52,000 CGST. SGST will be around 68,500. IGST is fully paid. So this is the net GST payable. We are not finishing with the calculation because we have to write few notes. So let us write the note now. we need to write few notes, especially on those transactions that have not come in our calculation. The first note that we need to write is with respect to goods purchased from a composition dealer, which we have not considered, right? Because ITC is not available on goods purchased from composition dealer. If we purchase any goods from composition dealer, on that input tax credit is not available. So because of that, we have not considered. So hence we have to write a note on that. And the next note that we need to consider with respect to forward charge, reverse charge transaction. So input tax credit cannot be utilized for payment of tax under RCM. So when we are calculating total, net GST payable, what we have done is we have written the output tax liability first, and then we have deducted input tax credit, and after that we have added reverse charge tax liability, right? The reason for adding reverse charge tax liability after deducting input tax credit is because of this: input tax credit cannot be utilized for payment of tax under RCM. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಆರ್ ಸಿ ಎಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬರೆದು ಅದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಲೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಸೊ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ನೋಟ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್. ಅನದರ್ ನೋಟ್ we need to write, this is not necessary but it's better to write, that is with respect to goods purchased from EOU, right? There is one goods that is purchased from material A which is purchased from EOU. ಸೊ EOUಗೆ ನಾವು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಡೀಮ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಝೀರೋ ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ EOU ಇಂದ ನಾವು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ, SEZ ಅಥವಾ EOU ಇಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಇಂದ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಡೀಮ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಸೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಆಗದಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬಟ್ IGST ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. IGST ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನೋಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ನೋಟ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ input tax credit on reverse charge tax liability is not available till September 2019. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಏನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ GST ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅದು ಟಿಲ್ 30th September 2019 ವರೆಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಸೇಕಿಗೆ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಈ ನೋಟನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. RCM ವಾಸ್ ಡೆಫರ್ಡ್ ಟಿಲ್ 30th September 2019, ಆರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೈಟ್ RCM ವಾಸ್ ಕೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಅಬೇನ್ಸ್ ಟಿಲ್ 30th September 2019. So these are the notes that we have to write. So you have to take down these notes as a part of your computation. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you like the video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel by clicking subscribe button. If you want to share the video, you can share the video, because you can learn to share and share to learn. If you want to get continuous notification, click the bell icon there. And if you have any comments, doubts, clarification, please write here. Thank you once again. Thank you all.